Hey guys, what is up? It's been a long time since my last video, but I used that time off to make some changes to the YouTube studio and make it run a little more efficiently and make it look just a little nicer. So now that I'm almost done, I thought I'd give you guys a behind the scenes look to see all the little things that I did. Before we get into the tour, I want to give you guys a little background. So when I bought this house years ago, this room was initially intended to be a home office and a music room. I had no idea I was going to start a YouTube channel, so it just wasn't set up for that. This room is only 10 feet by 12 feet, so I didn't have room for things like light stands, tripods, softboxes, all that stuff that's needed for making videos. What that meant was that every time I wanted to shoot a video, I needed to set up and tear down. And it got to the point where I would put off shooting videos sometimes because it was such a pain in the ass. Not to mention it looked like shit on camera. So fast forward to a few months ago, I decided that if I really want to take this YouTube thing seriously, then I need a more permanent filming area that's always set up, but still flexible enough for me to get different types of shots. But I still need to be able to work in here every day and play music. Now, I didn't want to break the bank with this renovation, so what I did was I focused on making only half the room very aesthetically pleasing. It's pretty much a set. And the other half of the room, I focused on making it very utilitarian with lots of storage and lots of mounting options. If you haven't already checked out Becky and Chris's channel, I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. I want to give a huge shout out to them because I pulled a lot of inspiration from their channel while working on this studio. You can probably tell by the matte black walls back there. I'm gonna switch to more of a vlogging setup now, so that way I can carry the camera around and show you guys all the little nitty-gritty details that I did. So let's go. Hey guys, what's up? So here's the view of the room that you're already somewhat familiar with. Notice I'm in new clothes. That's because it's the next day. And so yesterday I actually recorded a whole vlogging section going over every single part of this room. But when I went to edit it, I actually made myself sick because there was so much panning and tilting, and I was like, oh crap, this is not gonna work for you guys. So you're now locked off on a tripod, and we'll just go through. I'll throw in maybe some little vlogging shots, but mostly it's gonna be locked off because I don't wanna make you guys sick. This is the view that you guys are already kind of familiar with. This is the set, if you'll call it, the pretty side of the room. So let's get started over on this wall and I'll show you guys what's going on over there. Now coming over to the main desk over here, let's start at the top and work our way down. So at the top, I wanted to do some wall decor, but I wanted to have a little meaning. So this is kind of like a timeline of my photography career. Well, not career, but just a timeline of my photography journey. So starting over on the left, we have these two old school cameras, and those were actually my dad's, and that's what really got me started in photography. Right here, we have like one of my very first digital cameras ever. This is a Canon PowerShot S400. I think they used to call this the ELF line. It's only 4 megapixels, but it's got sentimental value. And up here, this is my very first like legit DSLR. So this is a Nikon D5100. And I'm pretty sure that thing still works and probably takes really good pictures. And I still have some glass for that, so maybe I'll bust that out. We'll see. Right here, we have my 2015 iMac. It's getting a little long in the tooth, so it doesn't do much video editing these days. But the monitor, the screen itself looks really good still. It's the 5K monitor. So I watch a lot of movies over here. I do a lot of photo editing. Music stuff, it's good for that. Got some Logitech gaming speakers here. I'll probably end up updating these with more legit studio monitors in the future. Moving down, we have an Elgato Stream Deck XL, and I just kind of moved that over here, so it's not programmed yet, but I usually use this for programming hotkeys and shortcuts for like Lightroom, Photoshop, DaVinci, all that kind of stuff. I'm not a streamer, so I don't use it for streaming, but I use it for productivity, and it's great for that. Have a Logitech MX Master 2 mouse, just a standard Apple wireless keyboard. Now, when I do want to get serious about audio, I use these guys. These are, let me block my face. These are Ultimate Ears IEMs, and they're custom molded for my ears. And they're super pricey, but man, if you're serious about audio, this is the way to go. So moving on, we got Harry Potter there, and down here we have a Nixie tube clock that was actually a gift from a coworker, and it's super badass. Those are all vacuum tubes in there, and I've always wanted those, so when I got that as a gift, I was super stoked about that. Over here we have the Sony a7C and the a6400. Those two still get a lot of use. I spent a lot of time doing cable management here, and I think it really paid off. It looks super clean. You can't really see any cables at all, except for maybe the one outlet cable that's going up to under the desk. I have a long power strip under there where everything is plugged into. Everything's all super cable managed, and I'm really happy about the way that came out. One thing I did skip over was this Govee light. It's called the Govee Glide. And these things are all like little Lego bricks, so you can pretty much assemble this in a ton of different configurations. They come with a bunch of these, not a bunch, but they come with a handful of these 90-degree elbows. So you can do like staircases, steps, you can do chevrons, you can do boxes, or whatever you want. And they're full RGB, they can do animations, and they can react to sound. Actually, let me pull up the app really quick, and I can show you just one of the animations. And also they get super bright. Right now it's only at 8%. I'll play an animation at 8%. So check this one out. This one's kind of cool. It's a rainbow. Like I said, it's only 8%, so this thing gets super bright. I love it. It's not too expensive. That's about it. I mean, notice, like I talked about earlier, this is the matte black Tricorn black from Sherwin-Williams, the paint. I think it came out really good, and these little black shelves from Umbra, I think, work perfectly for the cameras. They're super cheap. They're only 4 inches wide, so they're like the perfect size for that. This desk is an IKEA desk, and I got this riser right off of Amazon. It just bolts to the back of the desk and it just gets my keyboard up, and really I wanted to have more storage space underneath that for like hard drives on the left and these types of things. Oh, these Logitech speakers also have a sub that's down in the corner. One last thing, let me show you guys. All right, so this guy right here is a Herman Miller chair. If there's one thing that you shouldn't skimp on, I think it's the chair. I got really lucky because my brother-in-law actually knew someone that was closing a business, and they all had Herman Miller chairs. So I got this chair like barely used for like 200 bucks. So it was a no-brainer. We bought like 3 of them. All right, now let's move over to the wall of sound. All right, so this is the wall of sound, as I call it. I know this isn't a music channel, so I'll skim through the guitar stuff pretty fast. So let's check it out. So starting on the right, this is a Gibson Les Paul Jr., and this is a Gibson Les Paul Gold Top. All the guitars, by the way, are held on with these Hercules guitar wall mounts, and they're super badass because when you pick the guitar up, and you put it back down, it just locks right back into place, which is super nice. And they're all black, so they go against my matte black paint really nicely. Now moving along over here, this is a concert poster from a Simple Creatures concert, and I picked this particular poster out of like my hundreds of, well, not hundreds, but a bunch of concert posters, because this particular night I just have so many good memories from it. It was such a good show. I think the color scheme kind of goes with the vibe of the room. I really like the teal and orange kind of look, and yeah, so that's why I picked that one. One thing I do want to say though is that this frame is from Amazon, and if you notice, there's actually no glass on there, and that's because when I was shooting my A-roll shots, the glass from that frame was reflecting back into the camera, so I decided to take that off, and I don't think anyone can tell. It just looks like a nice picture up there. So that's one pro tip. If you're having reflections, take the glass off. And also what I did was, you probably don't notice this either, but these guitars are actually angled And that's for the same reason, because they were throwing off glare into my A-roll shot. So think about that kind of stuff when you guys are setting up your space. Right here we have a Friedman amp and a Friedman 112 cab, mini guitar pedal board right here. I got tons of pedals, but these are the ones I'm playing right now. Over here, this is, can you see it? Yeah, so this is my practical light. It's just a warm LED light. It's cool because it has a capacitive touch base, so I can scroll through the brightnesses pretty easily. Down here we got Billy Joe and the rest of Green Day, Funko Pops. Now, moving on down here, we have just an assortment of E-mount and so they're EFs and E-mount lenses. We got some doodads over here, lightsabers, microphones, Optimus Prime. Over here we have other laptops and things, books, more books. Right here, let's see. So right here, this is I think they call it the Plano tactical ammo case. So let me open it up. And so if you look inside, I have audio gear in here, Rode Wireless Go 2 stuff, dead cats. And here, there's usually a bunch of camera gear in this bin, but it's all being used right now, so that's why it's empty. And here I have a bunch of mounting stuff. I have a shade for my external monitor for when I'm recording video. In this one, I have a bunch of cages, camera cages and L brackets. I have this is for holding my my color checker and my white balance card for when I'm shooting by myself, like I am doing often. And it fits perfectly into this Calyx bookshelf from IKEA. One revelation that I had when I was doing all this was that I had to start thinking about this as a set. You know, so one of the most important things is figuring out your camera angle. And once you figure out the angle that you want, like for me, I knew I wanted to shoot kind of into the corner to get a little more depth in my shot. Now, once I did that, I knew what I wanted to have in frame. And once you know what you want to have in frame, then you can actually start using the stuff that's not in frame to store things, to hang things, to mount lights and all kinds of stuff, to store your camera bags. So it's really important, as one of your first steps when you're working on your room, is to figure out what your main angle is going to be, because then you build everything else around that. So that's probably my biggest tip when you're redoing this, is really think about your camera angles. So now that I've showed you all the pretty stuff of the room, let's go into the more utilitarian stuff and talk about gear and, you know, lights, microphones, all that good stuff. So let's go. As you can tell, I seriously was not lying about making only half the room pretty, because as you can see back here, that's the original wall color that was on the whole room. I had limited time to do this renovation, so it would have taken a lot longer if I had to move all of my stuff out and paint the whole room, instead of just kind of moving everything away from the pretty walls and then painting those. So that was a lot faster. So I left everything like this. And like I said, once you figure out your camera angle, you can figure out, okay, like for instance, I knew I could put this wardrobe here because it wouldn't be in frame. And once this wardrobe is here, I have a little nook over here. I can store things. Right now I have mounted on the back of this, I have cables. I have tons of cables. I have guitar cables, XLR cables, patch cables. All that stuff is hanging up here from hooks from Home Depot. And down here, I'm storing stuff like C-stands, light stands, microphone stands. Have some other knickknacks back there like lightsaber blades and geeky stuff like that. And moving over, this is actually a wardrobe from IKEA. It wasn't super cheap, but it's cheap enough that I don't feel bad about drilling into it. So you guys probably don't want to see what's in here, but I'm going to show you anyway. So let's open it up. Bunch of junk in here. So starting up at the top, these are all microphones. This is gigawatt. If you know what gigawatt is, leave a comment down below and tell me what gigawatt is. If you know, you get extra points from me. This is a keyboard up here, drumsticks, more guitar cables, XLR cables, boxes. We have the selfie pole for my Insta360 1X2, XD card pouches, light diffusers. This is a ball head, more music gear, lint roller. If you shoot videos and you live with pets, this is a must. I have like 10 of these things all over the place. I probably have lint all over me right now. These are a lifesaver. I go through them like crazy. More guitar parts, dust blower. Don't use this on your camera. I'm not sure why this is in here. I don't even smoke. More guitar stuff. You guys are probably getting sick of hearing about guitar stuff. And you're probably wondering why there's a lock on here. Well, not really a lock. I just put a carabiner in there. But it's because I live in lovely California and we have earthquakes all the time. And I don't want my nice guitars just falling out onto the ground. Moving on, this is the other side of the wardrobe that you're seeing right now. And this is my charging station number 1. I actually split it into 2 because I have stuff that I need to charge for like everyday use. You know, like camera batteries, Rode Wireless Go 2s, battery packs, my phone, stuff like that. All gets charged up here because I'm using it every day. And then I have another charging station that I'm working on that's charging stuff like walkie-talkies, things that I don't use every single day. So those are in the closet. So this right here is just a little a steel pegboard that I picked up from Home Depot. They just stock it in store, so you can probably go there right now and find it. I just have it mounted with some nylon standoffs, and I just actually bolted it right through the wardrobe with nuts on the other side, and it's super strong. The basket here, that's where I put all the batteries that are already charged, or if things are too awkward to hang up on the pegboard, like iPads and stuff, I'll just rest them in here. So right here I have the MPFC 100 batteries for the A7 series cameras. I have the A6400 batteries charging right next to it, and the Aperture MC. It's cool because it's magnetized, so it sticks right to the steel plate. I usually put my laptop over here when I'm recording because I don't want it getting in the way because I have my monitor on my desk and I just don't want to hit it and cause audio issues. So I put it over here, and also because the fan comes on and I don't want the microphone picking up that fan noise. So it usually lives right here, and then I monitor the audio over here on this main screen. Right now, I'm actually using the on-camera. I'm using a Rode VideoMic Pro Plus on camera, but for those savvy viewers who saw, you can probably see I have a lav actually running through under my hat bill, through my hat, and where is it? Oh, it's clipped to the back of my hat, so you probably saw it when I was going through the wardrobe. But anyway, the Rode Wireless Go 2 receiver is plugged USB into the laptop. I'm recording through Audacity. Moving down, this is just a chest of drawers. I have things, you know, all my stationery stuff, pens. I love pens, and these are like my favorite pens ever. These are the Uniball Jetstream pens. They write the best in Moleskine. So if you guys are like Moleskine nerds like me who love notebooks, try out the Jetstream pens. Those things are fantastic. I have a bunch of knives and stuff in here, like this guy. This is a Cali Legal out the front switchblade, by the way. I'm a huge knife nerd, so I have tons of knives, wallets. There's more camera gear in there that I use like every single day when I'm at my desk. So I have like extra lens caps. I have a white balance, another white balance card in there. Just cables, cleaning cloths. You know, I keep these guys all over the place because I'm freaking OCD about dust. So I just blow everything off all the time, no matter what. It's a good habit to get into. You can see I put a curtain up here. It's not a blackout curtain, but what I did was there's actually a window behind here, and I actually cut out cardboard the exact size, and I just blocked off that window all the time. because I want to be able to control the light in here at all times. I don't want the changing sunlight to ruin my shot and change the white balance. And it also serves for a little bit of acoustic treatment. Maybe I'll put something thicker up there. I don't know. Right now I'm going to shoot you over to the other corner by the entrance to the office because I want to show you more about storage and what I did there for tripods and bags. So let's go check it out. But anyway, what I wanted to show you is the use of space behind a door. The space behind a door is great for storing stuff because a lot of times you open the door, so you don't want to put anything big there. So you usually have a good amount of wall space there to hang stuff. So what I did, I went to Home Depot, I got a bunch of heavy duty hooks, and these are like ladder hooks up here, and these are regular, I don't know, you probably use them for hanging cables, some heavier tools and stuff in the garage. But what I did, I used them for hanging my everyday backpack down here. That's a 511 tactical backpack. And on the right over here, I have my Low Pro Tactic BP 450 AW2. And this is my favorite camera bag of all time. Up here, Peak Design 10-liter sling V1. Now up here, these are those ladder hangers that I was talking about, and they're extremely strong, and they have to be because this tripod right here is a freaking monster. These legs are 36 millimeters in diameter. They're carbon fiber and a super beefy ball head up here. I think that ball is like 50 millimeters or more. I think it might be more than that. This is a little tripod that I use for vlogging. I can actually hold my A7 IV on here fully rigged out and it doesn't slip. I'll leave a link to it and check it out. This thing's pretty badass and it's super strong. It's all metal. Right here is usually where the tripod goes that I'm using right now. It's just a little brother of this guy. So it looks almost exactly the same, but it's a lot sleeker. You actually don't have the center column coming down between the legs like that. It actually is just a separate piece and it screws on to the head or the plate of the tripod. And that's where that goes. And up here is just more tripods, more light stands. I've got this guy is for doing top downs or overhead shots. So that guy lives up here. That guy gets a lot of use because I do a lot of flat lay photography. And this is a blanket, but I'll get into that in a second. So actually maybe that's a good segue. Let's talk about audio real quick. My main microphone when shooting A-roll is this Sennheiser MKH416. And I know it's a pricey mic, but it is amazing. And I've actually measured this mic. It has probably one of the best off-axis rejections that I've seen. Most shotgun mics, they start falling apart once you start getting around the back of the microphone, especially at high frequencies. It doesn't do a really good job, but this mic does a phenomenal job. I run Mogami XLR cables for everything. That runs down into a Focusrite 2i2, and that runs directly into my MacBook Pro. I've also measured the Focusrite 2i2, and that thing is phenomenal as well. Excellent frequency response, flat from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Excellent signal to noise ratio and THD. So I know there's many fancier audio interfaces out there, but it's hard to beat the bang for your buck that you get with Focusrite. Now, while this is an excellent microphone, I am paranoid about the audio getting messed up. So I always try to run a backup. So on the camera, I'll usually run a Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which doesn't sound the greatest. Actually, I think they sound pretty bad, but it's better than having only the in-camera audio going. And if I don't do that, if I have a little more time, I'll actually set up a lav. I'll run it under my shirt, and that sounds a lot better. But those will always go into the camera, and even if I don't end up using it for the final shot, it's still really good for scratch audio, especially when you're trying to sync up stuff in post. It's nice having a nice clean signal to do that. Now in terms of acoustic treatment, I've talked a little bit about this curtain over here on this wall that adds a little bit of sound dampening. And as you can see along the back wall, that blue blanket, and I have this black blanket. Now those are just moving blankets from Harbor Freight. Super cheap, but in my experience, moving blankets, or if you can afford legit sound blankets, those make like the biggest difference. If you don't have the money to like build a legit acoustic space, not many people have the means to do that. So acoustic blankets, as long as they're out of the shot, I think like they're the best bang for your buck you can get. So what I did was I took a couple of those blankets and I got a grommet kit from Home Depot, and I just grommeted the blankets like every 20 inches or something. And on this wall, I put coat hangers up there, and I just hung it up there on the grommets. And what that means is now I can just take it on and off whenever I want. If I need to get into that closet because I added more storage in there, I can just pull it off super easy. And on this side, this black blanket, let me see if I could, let me move you guys over a little bit. Oh, it's still hard to see. But this guy, same thing, I grommeted the blanket, and what I did on this side though was I put shower curtain rings on there so that way I can mount it to my pole system that I have mounted to the ceiling. Now that works really well also because I can remove it super fast if I need to. I usually just leave them up, and it actually just works for work every day as well because I sound better on Zoom calls and all that kind of stuff. What else about audio? So I already talked about my Rode Wireless Go 2. I use those things all the time. I'm using it right now. Got a lav underneath my hat, taped right there. What else? Oh, and one last thing. You can't really see it right now. Let me see if I can. So that rug is mostly here for acoustic purposes. I actually hate it for everyday life because it keeps me from being able to roll from that desk over there to this desk over here easily. But for acoustic reasons, it really dampens the sound, so I live with it. And that's it for audio. So what I want to do now is I want to go into the lighting scenario in here. What we have here is, this is a Godox VL150, and this is an Easy Glow 36-inch hexagonal softbox. And inside I'm running the reflector, I'm running the diffusion sheet on the outside along with the grid. I run the grid because I wanted to control the amount of light that's spilling onto the wall of sound, because I have a separate light that I use for lighting that. Some of you might be wondering, why is it so low? Like my head is usually like right here-ish. And that is because I find that with the light a little lower like that, and especially where my camera is, my eyes catch that light a little better when it's low. And for a fill light, I'm using the Elgato key light. It's not ideal. Actually, the CRI on that is pretty good, but I just wish I had a little bigger of a panel to make it a little softer. But given the space, it works pretty well. This light right here is actually my hair light, and this shines onto my back right shoulder from above. I don't know if you can tell, but I have it set really warm. I think it's a 3400 Kelvin. And why I did that was, if you remember, I had that small, warm, practical LED light that was on my IKEA Calyx shelf underneath the guitars. And that light is really warm. So I'm using this light up here, my hair light, to motivate that practical. And so that's why I have them set to the same temperature. And I think it works really well. When you go back and look at the A-roll, to me it looks very convincing that my practical is actually shining on my back, and it's obviously not. So that's that. This is a GVM light panel that you can get off of Amazon. I'll link it down below. They're pretty good. They're RGB WW, so you get the full color spectrum. You can control both of them with your phone at the same time, regardless of what some of the comments are in the Amazon reviews. Up top, I have it mounted with a newer, let me see if I can focus on that. That's a newer wall light mount, and that thing is perfect because it's super low profile, simple, there's nothing really to fail on it, and just works. I know that this looks super janky because I took the light diffuser off because I wanted to put this Aperture B7C bulb in there. And what that does, this actually lights the wall that had the cameras on it. So this was the best solution that I could come up with for now. Maybe I'll change that in the future, but it's working for now. These Aperture B7C bulbs are awesome. This is another GVM light panel, and this one is set for 5600K, and this is the one that lights up the wall of sound. What I want to show you here too is this pole mounting system that I got. So that pole was actually meant for hanging clothes. I found it on Amazon. They sell it in a pack of 2, and it's really cool because it's all steel, and the diameter of the bars are perfect for super clamps. You can see those shower curtain things that I was talking about. They're just amazing. So I'll make sure to link those down below. You can see the light is hanging from there. The moving blanket's hanging from there. But let me show you what I did here. So I mounted this directly to the wall. And then here, I actually have the Elgato arm that came with the key light. Now I'm using that to boom out over my desk. And I have a small rig super clamp with a magic arm connected to the Sennheiser mic that can actually just swivel out of the way when I need it to. And then I have the same setup here for the key light, or for the Elgato key light. I have a super clamp with a magic arm threaded right into the key light. Over there in the corner, that right there is made by Newer, and that arm is amazing. It can hold a ton of weight. So I've positioned it pretty much so that way this light can pretty much go all the way down to the floor or all the way up to the ceiling, and it can move all the way in towards the wall, and it can actually move all the way out to this closet door over here. So I have full articulation of that light. This guy also can just swivel completely out of the way. So I don't know if you can tell now, but I've completely swiveled it out of the way, and that allows me to be able to walk back here, and if this blanket wasn't here, I could get all the way back in here to get to my other charging station, which is not fully set up yet. You know, more microphones, more camera gear down here. This is what I was talking about. Storage, lots of storage. This is a whole wire shelf dedicated to storage. Down there, Pelican cases with more cameras, more lenses, more gear. I didn't fully go over my setup over here, my shooting setup. So back here, this is the main tripod that I use for A-roll. It's just a 3-legged thing, Corey Punk's tripod. Right here is my monitor that I use to look at myself when I'm filming. The brand is Andy Cine, I think is how you call it. It's pretty cool, and it does support loading your own LUTs. I used this remote here because when I film on a 35mm lens, and it's pretty far reach to keep getting up and down to start and stop recording, so I used the remote. So thank God Sony brought back the multi-port for the A7 IV. I'm so happy about that. There's my color checker / white balance card. Oh, the sex wax candle. You gotta have that. That smells so good. Wand from Harry Potter. It's actually a cane wand. Actually, how many Harry Potter references can you count in this office? Put your guesses down in the comments down below, and I want to see who gets the most right. Alright guys, that's my YouTube studio tour 2022. I hope you liked it, and I hope you got some ideas for things that you can do in your own space. I'll leave links down below for most of the products that I talked about today. They are affiliate links, so if you do make any purchases, I will get a small percentage of those sales. You don't have to use those links, but if you do, it's greatly appreciated and it helps out the channel. Before we go, I want to say one last thing. We all have different budgets. So don't be discouraged if anything you saw in today's video seems out of reach. I've seen tons of fantastic videos shot on phones in window lighting, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do aspire to have a setup similar to mine, just know that this gear was collected over years and years. It definitely wasn't acquired overnight. There's always gonna be someone out there who has more money and a better setup than you. And I think it's okay to aspire to be like them and to have something to shoot for. Heck, I mean, one day it would be great if I had a studio like Peter McKinnon. But today, this is what I have, and that's okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.